Welcome to Break Your Shell podcast. Welcome to Break Your Shell podcast, a forum where we deliberate on issues that affect women, concerning women, and the people in the life of a woman. Issues to do with the spiritual life, the psychosocial issues, health, and economic issues. It is aired on the first Friday of every month on all our social media platforms. My name is Alice Tembe. I'm a public health specialist by profession, and I'm your host on this podcast. Today, I am joined by Busi and Phiwi, and before I go any further, I'm going to give them each a minute to introduce themselves, and I'm going to start with Phiwi.
Oh, thank you, Alice. Hello, everyone. It's Phiwi here. I'm a nurse by profession, and I am an author of 2 books. I am a mother of 2, but many. I'm also the founder of When Women Worship, Eswatini. I'm grateful to be part of this, Alice. Thanks.
Welcome, Phiwi. Busi.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. It's such an honor and privilege to be part of this podcast. My name is Busi. I am an educator. I have worked in the classroom as a teacher, as a lecturer. I've also worked in the publishing industry, producing books for education. I've been in the corporate world for a long time. I'm a mother of 3. I'm a mother-in-law. I'm a grandmother. I'm a mother of many, and I'm a child of God. Born again. I'm very honored and privileged to be part of this podcast.
Wow. Welcome, Busi. Now I'm worried because we have a disciplinarian today on the session. She might be telling me when it's time to stop talking. But we're really happy to have you, and we're excited for you joining us, our viewers, today. So in our previous session that we had on this podcast, you had an opportunity to have a preview of what actually happens when we host our annual Mother's Day celebration. And in those sessions, they talked about something that is quite critical, how we can ride our emotional wave and not be affected by it on the journey towards the goals that we have, or just moving forward in our day-to-day lives. Our emotions can go up and down. They can be really out of line, but that shouldn't stop us as women to go towards what we want to go, to achieve the things that we want to do. How do we harness the strength of those emotions to do that? It was really an interesting session. If you did not get a chance to watch it, there are actually 2 episodes, the 2 previous episodes. You can get a chance to have a look. And I must say, the women on that day, they were absolutely amazing. They looked like angels. You really want to watch that episode. So today, we have an interesting topic again. We're going to talk about women and their role in socializing children, both in society and in faith. It's a very interesting topic. We're going to talk about how did women become the primary socializing agents for children in society. Where do they learn the skills to do it? And in a way, what is it really that they're supposed to do, and how are they supposed to know they're doing the right thing? And we'll also just go into a bit more depth on how and if there's still a role for women to socialize children in the world of today, where we're dealing with technology, social media, and many other things that are influencing the life and growth of a child in our communities and societies. So I have Phiwi and Busi today, like I said earlier on, to help us deliberate on these issues. And I'm going to be posing some questions, and I'm not really going to be asking you to give the 100% or 99% kind of teacher answer, but just from perspectives of women, what is it that made women the primary social agents for socialization of children in society and even in faith? From your thinking, how did it end up being a role of women primarily? I know that there are men who do it, but primarily, whether the woman is a career woman or a stay-at-home mom, whether it's a grandmother or an aunt raising the children, they become the primary socializing agent. How did we end up having that role as women?
Do I take it first?
Yeah,
Anyway,
let's hear your thoughts.
how do they get to this position?
Mm.
I look at it as a gift.
Okay.
It's a God-given.
Mm.
It's a God-given. When I look at it, you can't deny that they are primarily those who are socializing in children in the families. And maybe it's the gift that is within them of
Okay.
nurturing,
Okay.
transforming. It's within this person. Anything they touch. You remember in one episode we once described her as
A multiplier.
anything,
anything that they touch.
it transforms.
Yep.
So God gave us, when you look at it from conception, the minute she understands that something has happened, if you are sound enough, you know very well what to do. You start nurturing from within. So that's why I'm saying it's God given. They can't even say not this time.
Not this
No.
one.
They can't put it on hold. From within. It's just coming naturally. Unless somebody is unstable mentally. But
Okay.
in actual fact, it is naturally given. It's God given. I can say that.
Yeah.
I don't know what
Okay.
my cousin can say.
Okay, Busi, she's saying that it's the natural nurturing gift that we have. That I know that women, the moment they are pregnant, there are things that they just stop doing. There are things that they will not do. And there are things that they start doing. Someone who's never been conscious about what they eat, suddenly they are conscious about it. Suddenly they go around with their water bottle to sip, and suddenly they start dressing in a floral, colorful clothes, I don't know, to be happy. But there are things that we do once, is it natural? Does it come with that nurturing gift, as Phiwi says, that we then become the socializing agent as well?
I couldn't agree more. It is a divinely given, it's a gift
Okay.
from above. It's God's gift that women have that it's just, it's part of our wiring. It's
Okay.
just how we are wired to be able to nurture. And without really being spiritual about it, when God Almighty decided He wanted to bring a savior, my goodness,
Yay.
He came
He had
through
to
a woman.
partner with a woman.
Yay.
He had to find a
I
partner
like that one.
You
I
know.
like that one.
to nurture this gift, God Himself. So I think it is something that you cannot take away
No.
From a woman.
As Phiwi says, unless that person has other
Issue.
issues, but
Okay.
otherwise naturally we have that responsibility, and it's an appointment.
It's an appointment.
It is an appointment.
I like that.
Yeah.
How does that explain women who have not given birth yet, Phiwi? We have a lot of young women in our homes who help us.
Yeah.
Some of them have actually never given birth. But somehow we trust them with our children from birth and go to work, and they nurture our children on our behalf. And because of our society that we're in today, the nature of the demanding society we're in for women who are in careers, you find that most of the nurturing is actually done by this woman who has not yet experienced giving birth. And we also have women like grandmothers who by circumstances find themselves nurturing children. How do we explain that one?
When you say a woman, and now we are speaking about females, it's automatically, I think, the fact that she's a female.
Okay.
Sometimes you can even relate it to somebody who has been in this household and also looking up to the female figure in the house,
Mm.
and they see exactly how you do things.
Mm.
Some take it up from what they are looking at.
Okay.
The fact that mommy does it this way,
Okay.
then the person, it's instilled automatically.
Okay.
Just to know that if mommy does this way, that means I can take care of my younger. You start
There.
then I think it's automatically embedded in us.
Mm.
You follow suit on what what your mother is doing.
Mm.
Yet already nagi me there is something le feminine.
Mm.
If it's a God given, it's feminine.
Mm.
So kulula lento ukuthi yenteke ngoba vele isifazane to
Okay.
take care, to nurture.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's
Mm.
interesting. Tungatsi, you
Yes,
want to
yes,
say
yes.
something?
Oh, yes, of course. I just want to say, in a female, because when we
Yeah.
are talking about raising children, you can be
Yeah.
a single parent.
It can be
You know,
Mm.
there is that soft skill.
Okay.
We always talk
Yeah.
about the soft skill in
Yeah.
woman. I've been in the corporate,
Yeah.
and the difference that I have observed with leaders who are female, they balance the two skills. There's the leadership, and then there's the soft skill side.
Yeah.
You don't only just look for people to deliver,
Yeah.
but inside of you, if these people are younger, you sort of nurture them,
Yeah.
bordering on
I
mentorship,
like
but you sort
that.
of nurture them because you want to see them
Grow.
grow, and you are also interested in their social background, what's going on at home.
Yeah.
You know, go back to school if you need to.
Yeah.
There's something in a woman. I'm agreeing with you to say, even the people who look after their children, we call them nannies, maybe we call them preschool
Helpers.
teachers or whoever.
Mm.
There is something inside of them that says, I need to look after
need
this soul. I need to nurture. There's a nurturing thing inside, and I think it comes
And
with
it's so
being
good.
yeah.
It kind of reminds me of a couple of things. One, if you go to any preschool and even primary school, you're likely going to see male teachers starting from mid-level, grade
Yep.
4, 5, going up.
Yeah.
Usually, the lower level, the elementary level of the education,
Yes.
you find female
Female
teachers.
teachers.
I wonder if that could be an
Yeah.
influence. And the second part I was going to just share was I've had an experience of going to different offices. I've been to an office where they are predominantly males, including the team that does maintenance. It's males.
Yeah.
And I went to the bathroom and there was no female being in the bathroom. I
Okay.
had to advocate to say, there is absolutely no way there cannot be a bin in a female's bathroom.
Okay.
Not a mirror, a bin.
Yeah.
And I just thought to myself, there were females who worked there, but they're not responsible for that department of maintenance. So nobody could think of the nurturing side. And if you go to the kitchen in an institution where there's a female head, the kitchen looks very different. At a workplace, I'm not talking about at home. And I'm trying to add to what you're saying, that even in the corporate sector, there are different roles that men and women play. So you find that if there's a female head, there is a difference. If you go to the kitchen, they're likely going to come in the morning with a tray of muffins, not for themselves only, but for everyone
For
in
everyone.
the office.
For
And
everyone.
not that there's a party or anything, but they're likely going to share. They will come with boiled mealies for everyone to share. It's not likely going to happen with a female lead, with a male
Soft
lead
skills,
in the professional session.
So it comes with a God-given gift.
Yeah.
Is it?
God-given.
Okay.
Yes.
It's starting to add up.
So
No.
we should not. We
Should embrace
just
it.
encourage even that one who thinks it's too much for. No, enjoy. It is yours. That's what it's
My
saying.
next question when we come back from a short break is does that mean men can't actually do this naturally, or is it something that they can do but they don't because women do it? So on that note, I will just like us to take a very brief break, and our viewers, we will come back with much more interesting conversation on this topic. It's getting hot already. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Welcome back, our viewers, from our short break. I am Alice Tembe, a public health specialist by profession, and I'm your host. And today, like I said, I am with Busi and Phiwi, and our topic of discussion is women and their socializing role for children in society and in faith. And just before our break, I did ask, we talked about the nurturing natural gift of women to do socialization. Does that socialization also happen for men? Can they do it? Is it that they can't naturally do it? Or is it possible that men can also do the socializing in our society?
Well, I think it is possible. Men can also do it. The only difference is, as I said before break, that women have the soft skills. And even the way our brains work, it's different. With men, if they're doing one thing, they cannot multitask. They focus on this one thing that they're doing. Nurturing demands your brain to be able to harness everything, to see things from different perspective. You can see if a child is uncomfortable. You can see if it's now a teenage stage. You can see if now there's something, there's that a God-given skill with a woman. But that does not necessarily suggest that the men cannot. They can, except maybe they would do it differently, because of the way they are wired. But they very well can, because we know a lot of males that have had a role to nurture and raise because of circumstances. They found themselves doing it, and they've done it well. But with women, it comes naturally, and they have this multitasking skill, which is a very, very great requirement when you nurture, because you've got to see things from different angles, and you've got to be able to firefight, to do here, to do this and that, So, but to answer you, they can.
They can. That's quite interesting. You're reminding me of when I first had my first child. I was like, how am I supposed to know when he's hungry or if he's sick? And if I'm sleeping at night, how am I supposed to know it's time to wake up and feed him? Like, what if I'm really, really, really deep in sleep and he's crying for food? And for women, somehow, once you have a child, you become a light sleeper somehow. You can hear any movement that the baby does, even when you're sleeping. But I would like to acknowledge what you're saying, that it's not taking away from men's capability of doing it. It's just for men, they may need to consciously make a decision to do it. They have to drive themselves to do it. Phiwi, is that your thinking as well?
Yes, I think Busi has just it's actually well said.
Mm.
Well said. They can do it. That's what we are saying. But they can do it differently.
Okay.
It's different with them, and with them it can also come with strife.
Okay.
Because it's not what they were meant to, but they can do it. Some men have done it already, and we've known a few. So we'll say that they can.
So they have a role.
They-
Men have a critical role to play in the socializing of
Yes,
children, both in
definitely.
faith and in society.
Yes.
It's not necessarily that it has to be left to a woman
Yes.
entirely.
It's just that we complement each other.
Each other.
Okay.
There's a, if there was a chunk, there's a proportion of a chunk that I can take in doing that. But there is somewhere where I can't reach,
Okay.
where he needs
has
to come in to
Okay.
assist me to complete whatever, even if I was given the gift to nature. But I know I cannot go to that extent. There is a level of life where you can see this person is now at adolescent stage.
They need
The
both
father
sides.
will do great if he can come in. So it's just complementary if we can understand as a family and be able to open up where another person has to come in. And we don't have to dominate that place that I do better. No. Understand that he can also come in.
And
If he has no option, he will take the total nurturing. But in actual fact, each one of us has a proportion here. There's a proportion to make it complete.
Definitely.
There are times where I can't get through my teenage girl. It only needs a father. When the voice of a father, then
Things change.
things are taken different than what I was going to do. So I think they are
There
they-
are two complementing
that
roles.
very.
Okay, interesting. And I'm smiling because I'm thinking of something that happens in the corporate world where, you know, for most corporates, they have to go through team building training. And I'm thinking, mothers do this naturally in the home with like 5 children. I have 4 siblings. So like I'm thinking my mom didn't get team building training, but she had 5 different personalities and she raised us, you know, and she did it, you know. So the team building is coming in the career, in the profession, maybe because there are males that need the skill to do it, but women have to do it in the home already.
But somehow, you know, the mother, talking about team building, the mother becomes the facilitator there.
Okay.
Because if you've got your 5 girls, or
There's
3
a
girls
verse
and 2
that I
boys,
have
the
here.
mother will facilitate to say, be considerate,
Okay.
wait for her to use the bathroom, don't leave your clothes on the floor. You know, there's someone who is sort of coordinating this team of 5. The question is, where does the mother get the training
My very next
to be
question.
the facilitator?
And I want to add a pin to it, Busi, that sometimes no matter how best you invest in socializing your child, sometimes the child makes different choices. And most of the time, the blame falls on the mother. So if a mother is going to be blamed for something that goes wrong, my question is, was there a training of sort and our society keeps changing from, you know, the easy one where we used to just, children were sent out to pasture like animals and they'll come back and they'll be fine. But nowadays you kind of have to be present, and yet you have a career. Where do women get the training to keep up with the changes and still socialize a child in faith and in society, in all this? Do women get any kind of training?
Yeah.
I think Phiwi, you
Vulana
touched on it
Bible
earlier.
lam Nxumalo. But in actual, before I read this Bible, I'm just reminded of that line where it used to be, a child is not just for the Mabuza family. The child is for the society. So I think it emanated from there, where you will find that I'm raising them, but I'm not even sure how to do it. And the time I am able to be in a circle of a specific type of women, I'll be able. Networking now, you don't just think you will know everything.
True.
But once you are able to interact with people around you which have solid foundation, I think you will be able to know. You see, if Mage so and so was able, now I'm a young mother attaching to the a little bit elderly. You will win because you will never. And with us, children of God, we usually say we are better off with the networking in the church. And we are better off with the manual, which is the Bible. But what about the other one who doesn't have a Bible, who doesn't know Christ? And that is in limbo. And today, me, who is from background of Christianity or background of faith, I will read Deuteronomy 11, verse 20, verse 18 and 19, where it says, "So commit yourselves wholeheartedly to these words of mine." That's God himself speaking. You should commit yourselves in these words of mine. Tie them to your hands. Wear them on your forehead as reminders. Then teach them to your children. Talk about them when you are at home and when you are on the road, when you are going to bed, when you are getting up. You see, Lananje, when I read it, I just thought, hey, what the mothers used to do. Every evening, he will call us after everybody has eaten. We are going to sing, she's going to read a verse. We are going to sing, she's going to read a verse and speak unto us. You see? And then I saw it. Oh, abasibo bethu. These are God's children. Othi, after you have bred them, bring them back to me. And that's the secret. That's the only secret. Then the ideas will come on its own when you encounter with that specific problem at that specific time. But most above all, it's as if he's saying, you think they are yours? No, they are mine. Bring them back to me. Babiten futhi ngoba ninexisha nje lelivi kuphela.
True.
Yes. Say something.
Yeah, of course. Like in Proverbs, is it Proverbs 6:22, where it says, "Train up a child in a way that this child will not depart from when they are old." When I read that scripture, I was like, okay, so it's possible that you are training the child today. You are investing, but you are not necessarily going to see the child changing now. But even when the child is old, I may have departed from this world, but that seed that has been one day,
which was planted,
that one day, beyond any shadow of doubt, one day.
Do you know what? The other book was telling me a mother or a parent has got only 20 years to speak unto her or unto him. He's got that few years. Maybe they're saying 20 years because 21st is an adult. I don't know. But whatever book I read, it was as if do your best, while they are still around you. Do your best.
And don't be discouraged if you don't see the seed now. Oh, we have been given a promise that they will not depart from it.
Okay.
So
That's really interesting. And I like what you touched on, Phiwi, when you said For women of faith, maybe they know where they can get support.
Yeah.
They can associate with other women in their circle. But there's also a woman out there who may not have that circle.
Hey,
And
simthandazela naye. That's how
it's
it's
true. And that the role of socializing does not change whether you're a woman of faith or not.
Yeah.
So that becomes sometimes a burden on a woman, a role that they have to take the consequences of whatever the child does
Hey.
afterwards.
Yeah.
How do you see this role affecting a woman? This role of being a socializing agent?
Ay. Ngoba the children are what they are today. Kuyadependa vele. It depends. It depends.
Yeah.
Ukuthi ubuyaphi. And now imagine the challenges of single moms raising the child abangasamfuni because akasafunwa ngiphathwa. Sometimes the anger is extended to
comes
the
out.
child and kube chaos. Akasanenzaba. And I was shocked, one of the moms, when we were just chatting and talking, athi sambajake ukuthi baye hostel.
Okay.
Just imagine,
So I
mina
can live my
ngingafuni.
life.
Yabona mina nje I for
Holding
one.
on to
I wish
holding
to
on
stay with them
them.
longer. But this one, at their tender age, I can't wait. They're going to the hostel. That's how it is. We are so different because now you will not judge that person. You don't know what he's going through. And that's the difference that we carry then. Then this one see relief when they go, and the other one see, they can't go at this age. We are so different. It's the understanding now. It comes with understanding. The more they're with you, is the more you're going to speak some things on them. What about if she's empty?
yourself.
Uthi ngibakhulumisa ngithina ngithi mina no mina ngibafuni bahambe ngithi mina it's the time ukuthi ulibale guide them and keep speaking wathi yena no I want them to go that's it that's how different we are.
I just want to add to that, Phiwi.
Yeah.
You said it's single moms, maybe they are angry, but
Yes.
also there are married moms who are empty within,
Oh yes,
who are troubled in the
I
marriage.
get you.
But
you.
that's what I'm saying. The effect on the woman, that you are carrying the burden of that what is happening in your marriage, but you still have to play the socializing role for the children and smile and teach them to be happy and to have gratitude. But there's the woman. You are not, one, you're not fulfilled. Two, you are empty yourself.
I think there's something that we should not overlook in life in general.
Yeah.
And I pray to God that we get these structures. We are talking about women of faith who
Yeah.
have a structure. They have church,
Yeah.
they have cell group, they have, people, prayer partners and whatever. It's a structure that you can lean on. You can, you have a support system. And then you spoke about women out there who may not necessarily have that structure.
Yeah.
The value system, our cultural value system was such that there was liguma. There were certain, I don't know
Yeah.
what to call it in
Yeah.
other languages, but there was a place where women came together
Okay.
to share, to talk about, my
Life
child has now started her period. What do I
What
tell
do I
them?
tell them?
Because as a mother, when that happens to you, you are also traumatized.
Yeah.
Because you realize that the child has gotten to a stage, it's traumatic for you and for the child. You need other older women
Yes.
to tell you how. So those structures were there.
They were there.
They may not necessarily have been Christian structures, but they were. I pray to God that those structures, in one way or another, let's bring them back as women. We are not necessarily suggesting that we're going to go and plant a religious organization, but in the society,
In the society.
within the
With-
community,
yeah.
let's be there for
Sit,
each other.
Let's be sit together
Sit together.
at some point of time. Just talk
And
about
talk.
issues.
Mm.
So that, but we just pray that it could be
We're modernizing it. We're doing it on podcast.
Hey, yes.
And sometimes it
Yeah.
was family.
Yeah.
I could take my son to my older sister to spend a week, 2
Yeah.
weeks, because there's something that's difficult for us now. Maybe go to Magelomkulu. For those structures were there and they were solid.
They were.
And I'm saying, I pray to God that somehow he replaces them, even if it's not the same thing, but some kind of structure is always needed.
Yeah.
You will always need someone to hold you by the hand. Remember Naomi, remember Ruth, when she said, "Unganceng,
Yeah.
I'm she literally mentored that young woman. She would tell her, Geza nyala,
Namusha,
Geza,
do this.
hamba, you
Do
know,
this.
because she's older and she had she had made mistakes. So she was like, I don't want you to make the mistakes that I made. You know what I mean? So there's always a need for a support system. You can never do anything in isolation.
By yourself.
No.
This is getting interesting, and I'm liking where it's going. The system and the structures, Busi, and my heart bleeds because we have lost them, not necessarily because some of it not because we chose to lose them, but you know this whole globalization story that happened where cultures are kind of intermixing. As you were talking, I grew up in Zimbabwe, and we had that. When you are about to start your period, your school holiday, you go spend it at your father's sister's home, your aunt. Then she teaches you how to take care of yourself. What do you do? And your mother helps when you come back, continues to help you with that. But auntie is married in UK now.
I know.
And her family, they live in UK, and uncle Malume is married, is living and working in Australia. Not just that, but maybe me and my brother don't even talk anymore.
Hey,
Imagine sending my son to my brother's house, you know. So
things are different now.
very different.
But let's be excited.
Let's
Even
use-
podcast.
Yes.
Ekumeni.
So
We are at Ekumeni here.
we're opening this
Yeah,
platform
yeah.
for women, and I want you, our viewers, as you watch this recording, if there's things that you'd like to teach another woman or add to another woman, or a lesson you've already learned, like Busi said, if you have, even if you're young but you've already learned a certain lesson about life, just post it in the comments on this podcast so that another woman can read it and it can be a lesson for them. We may not be able to go and sit in the community and talk. The women are also working these days. It's even difficult. But we can find and develop communities in the spaces that we have. We use WhatsApp all the time. Create a group of women that you trust, that you interact with, that you learn from. We have these podcasts. We have Mother's Day celebration. Come, meet other women. And if you find one that you would like to influence your life, connect with them.
It's a
You
lot
know,
of connection.
connect with them. Like I
Connect.
was saying, I was alone when I had my first son. I had to find other women who had babies at the same time to say, so when they start turning yellow, what do you do? And I can just, you know, it's yesterday, the guy who helps me with our cars, mechanic, they had a first baby. He called me late at night. Auntie, I have never met the wife. My wife, the baby is turning yellow. She asked me to call you to ask what to do. And because somebody told me what to do, I told him and calmed him down. And he's like, oh, that's what we can do. That's that. I'm like, yes, you can do that. Unless if there's these things that then you need to go to the clinic. But if you have something that you've learned, let's start putting it in forums like this. We can all learn and help and support each other. And as we always say in Break Your Shell, when women come together, we have no idea how big an impact and powerful we can be. Yeah. So we're going to go on our break. But before we do, I'm going to ask Phiwi and Busi, to give us their probably some thoughts on this topic that maybe we didn't bring up in the questions that we had. Anything you would like to add? We will continue a part 2 of this conversation because I can see there's a lot. But we will have a part 2 of the session and we can dig deeper into the topic. There's still the issue of we're living in a different world. Our children are a different generation. I don't know if our generation were that challenged to our parents, but this one seems much more interesting. Yeah. And I would like us to have a conversation about that. And you, our viewers, can also add your comments on this topic. So before we go on our break, do you have any statements, comments you would like to say?
I wanted to make a comment about being vulnerable. Mm-hmm. Like, I must be in a community where I can be vulnerable. Mm-hmm. Because once you open up to say, I mean, if people look at me, maybe they see this, powerful woman. Yes. Yeah. I've got my weaknesses. Mm. I've got challenges. I've got things that are also, a concern for me. But if I open up and say, I have a concern with this, then other people also start opening up. So what I'm trying to say is these communities should not suggest that there's one person who has all the answers. No. Because every woman has gone through something or is going through something or will go through something. Yeah. So an opening up then makes the other people comfortable to say, oh, I'm glad you mentioned it. I was talking to a mother who has an autistic child, and the moment she opened up to talk about her situation, more people opened up to say, really, I didn't realize that you also are going through what I'm going through. And that's how we can help support each other.
And we have become so good at putting on lipstick and hiding our issues. We don't want to show them.
Phiwi? Show the weakness, and we need to show. We need to show sometimes. And when you show your weakness, you're opening up to that one who's weak. You say, oh, she can't be weak. Yeah. That means it's not taboo.
It's not me.
To be weak. So I like your point, Nxumalo. What I will say, adding to our role, is to that woman out there, keep speaking positivity to those children. It's our role. As we take care of them, speak beautifully. Even if at school they have given you a bad report, keep on speaking beautifully. And they need that approval from a mother. Each time they grow, if they ask, is it okay, ma? Have that best of approval, which will come from you. It goes a long way. It goes a long way. So we not just nurture by feeding or wiping or bathing, but the speaking. Actually, the speaking starts when he's still in the uterus. We start feeling those kicks. We start smiling. We start saying, "Grow! Hey, I want to see you." So, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Busi and Phiwi. At this point, I'd like to conclude our session, and I know that you have questions of yours. You still are hungry for more. So are we, and as I promised, we will make a part 2 of this podcast so we can have a little bit more in-depth in the topic. Thank you so much, Busi and Phiwi, and I am Alice, and I'm your host every first Friday of every month. Look forward to a new podcast being posted. And if you missed our last 2, I encourage you to start with them and then watch this one. Thank you very much. Welcome to Break Your Shell podcast.